Hi there. Hi, Samantha. Welcome.
Hi, Carole Ann.
Great to see you. You look amazing as usual. I'm doing a little series of mini podcasts to let people know, because a lot of people say to me, what happens after you graduate? What's the sort of percentage rate of people going on to be successful coaches? And I said, well, it really very much depends on the individual. Some people already have day jobs. Some people may take 6 to 9 months to get their website. And yet some people, while the coaching course is actually going on, are gathering information ready to start their website almost straight away and get out there. So it's a very personal thing. So tell us a bit about yourself. How long ago has it been since you graduated?
So from the Pure Academy, I think it's been around 2 years now. How time flies. I can't believe it. No, it's been about 2 years. Obviously, I'd done training previously, so I'd been a psychotherapist, and I had also studied music and the law as well. So I'd had sort of a wealth of studying behind me, but I wanted to do something that would really complement my other business. So I have 2 businesses, and you know, I really wanted to empower people. I wanted that sort of productiveness, that positivity within my life and within others' lives. And I think coaching is the way forward. It's the way forward to change and transformation.
Absolutely. Interesting then that you had a psychotherapeutic background, and that's what you were practicing as a psychotherapist. And what made you think, not that you would leave psychotherapy, but that you would like to have coaching as an add-on?
I mean, in some ways, when I first started coaching, I was really running a psychotherapy practice, and it was almost like a twin practice. It was very equal to the psychotherapy. And as time's gone on, I've actually found that my coaching business has really taken off. And I think what's really important to remember is about your own values. So what do you hold dear? Psychotherapy is very healing. It can be incredibly powerful for most people, but it's not always right for the right person. You have to think, what do you want? Do you want psychotherapy, or would you like coaching? And they're very different entities. So
how would you describe them as different entities? What would you say one gives you as opposed to the other?
Well, psychotherapy is very much about healing. So basically, if you have a very significant issue that you can't move on from, it stops you from living your everyday life, then I would suggest you possibly need to think about psychotherapy. Because there's no good taking on coaching. It's all about sort of moving forward. It's all about accountability, positivity, you know, and you almost have to have overcome, or at least start to be overcoming those issues in order to take coaching up. Whereas with coaching, it's the other way. It's about saying, I've got some issues. I know I can get over them, but, you know, I need some help. I need some clarity, some direction, and I need to feel empowered again.
That was a very good definition. When people ask me what's the difference, I usually say psychotherapy is the past and healing, and that can sometimes be the why something happened and making sense of that, whereas coaching is the how can I move on, what steps can I take, and it's more practical and co-creating a future that you really love and stepping towards. So I think people do blur the edges slightly, and occasionally you might get a client who's in therapy, but you have very strict guidelines as to what is therapy and what is coaching.
Absolutely. Yeah, boundaries are very important to set. You know, I've had a couple of people where they may have needed some therapy, and I've said to them, look, I can offer you coaching, but there needs to be a strict boundary as to what we're working with.
That's good. I mean, what an amazing offer you bring to the table then, psychotherapy and coaching. You're very lucky clients coming to you because they get the past and the future sorted out.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, you know, most people think, oh, you must mix the two up, but actually I don't. Sometimes, as you say, it's very difficult. There are blurred edges, and of course my skills come into the coaching. However, I always say to people, it's important to know that coaching is not therapy. It's therapeutic in its own way, but it is not traditional therapy. So it's really important for the client to really consider what's important for them.
Sure. Yeah. And so since graduating, what was your journey? What has your 2-year journey been for you?
I have to say, it's been amazing. Training at the Pure Academy was one of the best decisions I've ever made. You're an incredible mentor, Carole Ann, and I wouldn't have got such a great mentor. I think out of all my training, you're the one that has stood by me, has really empowered me to reach my potential. And I think when I first started my coaching practice, I have to say I probably was a little bit naive, because I thought, well, this is what I want to do, and it's fantastic to have the goal in mind, but I didn't know that I needed the small steps in order to get there. So it's all about the small steps lead to the bigger destinations. So I had to carry on with my job at the time. I was actually a lead stylist for a major brand at the time. And I had to continue that whilst also building my coaching practice. Now I've actually changed that course, and I'm actually working a lot with lawyers at the moment, but I'm also working a lot on my coaching practice a lot more, and I'm working a lot more with directors and CEOs and managers, but also high flyers, people that really want to get there. I also work with a wide variety of people to really find that clarity and confidence both within their personal and professional lives. So that's my journey so far, and I would say it takes about 2 to 3 years, if not a little bit longer for some people, to really start to establish a practice.
Yes, I agree.
Not easy.
No, it has to be something you really throw yourself into, and you also had a day job, so it was very hard for you to find the hours to start to create your alongside business. I suppose if you weren't working, you could throw yourself into it full time, and maybe that would be a shorter start to finish getting your business up and running. But I remember that you originally said when you graduated, because you have a slight music performing showbiz background, that you wanted to work with people in the public eye. Obviously that's still something from your heart, that you would love to pursue that. But tell us the journey of sort of thinking of one niche and then it becoming another.
Well, I think it's a journey, isn't it? And on any journey, you have a change of circumstances, a change of situation. And I think when I started marketing myself or approaching people, I think I started to realize that when you throw yourself into one area, it may not be that that's the area that you end up in at the end of the day. And I started to realize that these people have the same issues as others, and they may be cool for coaching in one area rather than another. So, I started off with that. I think that it's still very much in my heart that's, an area which I'm passionate about. And I have actually worked with people within the arts and within film and music and TV, but it is difficult to break into. I think you do need a backing, with all of that. But what I realized is to be a performer, to be a star, to be a leader, they all entail the same things, the same issues, the same concepts. So actually, it's no different in some ways working with a CEO or director to someone performing on a stage every night, because their lives kind of mirror each other.
Yes, equally, some top lawyers you may be working with need to do media presentations after major court cases, and knowing how to present themselves. So really, lots of different professions are now in the public eye and presenting and broadcasting to the press, TV networks. So it's like even people who have traditional careers may find themselves in front of a camera, and that's where a coach of your standing would come in and help them with that kind of dilemma of how to present yourself well.
Exactly. I mean, even in terms of interviews and careers, that even comes into that. So when you're looking for a promotion or you're looking to get into a new job or a new opportunity, it's all about how you present yourself and how you come across well. So it's very important. I think I always say confidence is an inner job. It's not an outer job, because until you've sort of built the foundations within, you can't rewards from without. So
And I remember in the early stages of you building your business practice, you put a lot of time and energy into your website, and you were courageous enough to change as you grew. You started off with one design and you were very organic. You kept sort of slightly tweaking and adding new messages. And it's almost like as you grew and got to know your strengths, you changed your business accordingly. And that's one of the great pluses of being a coach, is the organic way you can change your offer as you grow and change.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to remember that, you know, we ask our clients to grow organically. We ask them to take on the challenge, the positive challenge of attempting transformation and change within their lives. But if we can't do that, then we're not very good coaches. So I think it's all about coaching yourself and allowing that transformation to come into your own life. And I was prepared from the very start to say, this will change. My website will change. My concepts will change. I wasn't rigid in my ideas. I think for anyone going into training or into the Pure Academy, and I know you always encouraged us to think about this, is to not be rigid, to ask the questions, to be curious about how your journey might pan out, and to go with the flow as well, because you know, we can have so many plans and so many end goals, but actually we forget to sometimes just go with our gut instincts and go with the flow.
And also help people identify what gut instinct actually is, because some people say, I don't really trust my instinct. Well, it's helping them learn to retune into that inner voice, that gut instinct, their kind of intuition, as it were. And that's one of the great joys of the job, is helping people become more self-resilient and self-soothing and self-directional rather than externally driven.
Exactly.
And I love what you were saying about, as coaches, we do have to walk our talk. We can't just be rigid. We're in a profession of personal development, and one of the coolest things about being a coach is what we learn from almost every client, and how we grow and how we get to our potential by working with these amazing people. It's hardly believable that you get paid to do something so utterly joyous that gives you such a great, karmic feedback from it all, you know.
It's one of the most, I would say, probably out of everything that I've ever done, it's the most rewarding jobs. It is absolutely incredible when you actually witness and you walk alongside one of your clients and they make that transformation step by step. Even the tiniest changes or the tiniest revelations, that can just, it's just amazing. So
it's an absolute joy. So here we are, 2020. What's your plan for the year and your business and your life? Have you got any major dreams for what you want to achieve this year?
Well, as you're talking about changes of websites and concepts, I'm actually in one of my final sort of stages, I think, of change, is that I am keeping my current ideas and my current clients and things, but I'm moving more towards confidence with probably managers, CEOs, directors, people that want to climb the ladder. People always see that they probably have everything and they don't. So that's one of my goals. And as you can see, it has transformed from one end to the other. I think, I am hoping to set up my own podcast. That's actually in process at the moment. So that's something that, has only just come about. So, and I think you try different things. When I first started out, I tried Facebook Lives and they were brilliant. Yeah, and that's something to try. But if it doesn't work for you, perhaps a podcast might work. And what works for someone might not work for someone else. So it's important to try things. I'm going to continue with the sort of really growing and really being open to possibilities. Networking is really important. So sort of, really being open, I think, to change, transformation.
Sounds fantastic. You're very positive about your future. So in conclusion then, if someone's watching this and they're thinking, is it right for me? What one thing would you say about becoming a coach, or particularly becoming a coach at the Pure Coaching Academy?
Well, when I first approached yourself, Carole Ann, I think one of the first questions I asked you was, is there a lot of essays and, exams? Are there a lot? Because I'd done all that, I've been lucky enough to have studied for 2 master degrees, a couple of degrees, you know, I'd worked in different industries, built my way up into those, and I didn't want to have to feel as though I was stuck at a desk doing essays and studying all the time. And I think the one thing to remember is with the Pure Coaching Academy, it isn't about studying, it isn't about sitting down and doing, you know, hundreds of essays and writing and learning and, you know, saying yes and no. It's about really thinking about your coaching practice. It's practical. It's actually putting you in the role of the coach from the very beginning, and that's what attracted me to the Pure Academy. Right. And it was absolutely fantastic. You know, it kept that sort of promise throughout. I think with any other coaching academy, if they're thinking about it, it's important to think, what are your values? You know, what would work for you? Yeah. I can't actually promote the Pure Academy enough, to be honest. With positivity and your incredible mentorship, and you know, I know it's made a great difference in my life.
Thank you so much, Sam. I didn't even pay you to say that. And I want to say thank you very much for doing the podcast this morning, and wishing you all the best for 2020. And I really got a great feeling it's going to be your year.
Oh, thank you.
It really is. So thank you so much. And this is a star on the ascendant. Everybody check out Samantha's website, because she's a lovely woman and she's doing some amazing things in the world out there with her coaching practice. Thank you so much, Sam. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.